Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As we all are coming from different time zones, so whatever time zone you are in. Uh, so thanks a lot for joining for the session. Today we will be talking about fake news for that is how we can fight fake news and issues in machine learning. So I will just switch to my screen. Okay, cool. So let me introduce myself briefly. I'm Jayesh Bapu Ahive. I'm an AI researcher and consultant. I work with various clients around the globe to help them in setting their machine learning workflows. I'm also the AWS machine learning hero. I build communities and I believe in giving back to society in some or other form. So I run multiple tech communities in India and I also mentor underprivileged developers on weekends. And lastly, I'm a big fan of Python fanboy, big fan of Python. I'm kind of Python fanboy. So it's a programming language I use most of the times and most for most of my projects. So whenever it comes to presenting in conferences like this, which are mainly focused around Python, I'm always a key. So let's just jump into today's talk and let's just see agenda first. So you guys will be also aware of at what point you can leave or join back. So we will start with defining fake news and forming the problem statement for our project. Then we will discuss how machine learning can help us to solve this problem. And then finally, we will see a demo. And also, I will tell you the requirements to set the demo on your machine and how you can try this demo on your own machine itself. So, and again, at the end, we will discuss some ways you can contribute to this project and make it better. So, I need help from all of you guys to make this better and uh, let's just make our society a better place. So, let's first start with defining fake news. What is the fake news? So I just took this definition from Wikipedia, and it says, like according to Wikipedia, fake news, which is also known as a junk news, pseudo news, or hoax news, is a form of news consisting of deliberate disinformation or hoaxes spread via traditional news media, which can be like a print media or broadcast, or modern source of all information, as we all know, social media. So the spread of fake news has been huge in past few years just because of the wide availability of the information on internet over the globe. So most of the people got access to information or internet, and most of the people rely on social media for their news, and that's why the spread of the news via social media has increased over the period, and the same spread of the fake news as well. So why do we need something like this in the first place? So why do we need fake news detection? Is fake news really that big issue, or is this a new issue coming from nowhere? So if you're talking about origin of fake news, then no. So fake news has been there since long time. If I want to like mention a timeline, it was there since First World War, Second World War as well. In those times, countries used to use it to manipulate strategies from other countries, or sometimes to reduce a panic among its citizens. But its impact was very small at that moment, and the scope was limited because the spreading time and spreading sources were very limited, and very few people had access to those sources actually. So those were some of the reasons like why we need this kind of thing today. And again, like if you want to talk about details, then fake news has become a huge issue in a digitally connected world, and it is no longer limited to little scrabbles as it was in First World War or Second World War's time, or in 19th century in general. So fake news spreads like a wildfire today, and it's impacting millions of people every day. The uses of the web as a medium for perceiving the information is increasing on daily basis. The amount of information loaded in social media at any point is enormous, and posing a challenge to the validation of the truthfulness of the information. So it's just impossible to cross check the truthfulness at any moment. The main reason that drives this framework is that an average 62% of the US adults rely on social media as their main source of the news. And that those are just stats which are available for US, but it's the same scenario all over the globe. the quantity of a news that is being generated in social media has substantially reduced uh, the quality of the news which has been generated by the social media has been substantially reduced over the past few years. And I don't need to give you examples. You know, number of examples where this thing happened over past few years, and it's impacted so many lives and even US elections for that sort. So we all have been seen its impact in some or other forms, and we are aware of it. So the country I live in, India, has seen some major riots and lynchings happening because of the fake news spread via social media apps. And especially in India, WhatsApp is mostly used app. So the fake news spread via WhatsApp. And okay, so can we create some solution around it? Isn't it easy to just write an API which can detect a fake news, or isn't it easy to just create a website which where we can post something and see if it's a fake news or not? Yes, it's easy to create some supervised solution, or with some efforts we can also create some sophisticated solution. But can we go ahead and create something user friendly, which don't need you to know a lot of technical jargon, or which don't need to open any website? So right now, like most of the people who are relying on WhatsApp in India, many this kind of social media apps, talking to each other, getting the information, not that tech savvy that they will go on some particular website and see check for the fake news. So can we create some user friendly solution around those social media app itself, which will help us to reduce this issue? So that is what I was thinking about, and that is what my perspective was during building this whole project. And I will also show you the demo as well, and maybe you have to wait for it for 20-25 minutes. But yes, we will go to the demo, and also, as I said, we will. I will also tell you some ways you can contribute to this. But the first question we can ask ourselves is, can we as a developer turn to machine learning, or any tool of that sort to solve this problem right now? And yes, so answer is obviously yes, right? So we can go ahead and use machine learning or any other tool. But right now, like, the machine learning is most reliable tool for this kind of problem solving and automating the pipeline. So I will say absolutely yes. There have been many attempts to solve this problem using machine learning, and there are still ongoing efforts to make this process better and better over the period. And generation of the fake news. Okay, so let's just talk about how we can use machine learning for fake news detection. Before that, I will talk a bit about how the generation of the fake news works, and how these features are going to impact our in general prediction, or uh, what are different type of context we should look into if you want to detect fake news. So generation of the fake news is intentional by the unknown sources, which are trivial, and there are existing methodologies to individually validate this user's trustworthiness, right? And we can even validate the truthfulness of the news and the users, and we can also check the users' engagement in social media. So we can cross check over some of the factors, we existing factors, and we can use those factors to uh, detect the fake news. But analyzing these features individually doesn't consider the holistic factor of measuring news credibility. So if I just rely on one of the factor, like if I just rely on users' sentiment about the particular news, then maybe I'm not doing judgment to the whole problem statement we have. So it the so the analysis and prediction should not be depending upon only one or two factors. So it should consider most of the factors around this whole problem. Hence, combining this auxiliary information together with the news content to measure the news credibility is possible without to focus. And there have been several techniques to validate this writing style and the vocabulary, and then maybe phrase structure and lot of things. But again, this if we consider them as a single criteria for fake news detection, there have been outliers and error rates are huge. So we can't just go ahead and use the singular feature to detect a fake news, but we have to use bunch of criteria together, and we have to create a model around it which can be used to detect a fake news. So let's just see what are different parameters and features we can use to detect fake news using machine learning, and what different models we can create. So there are some characteristics which will help us identify fake news, as well as we all know. So text content is one of the main thing we can use. But apart from the text content, we can also use source and its authenticity. So source can be anyone who is spreading that news on social media. Source can be the publisher. Source can be uh, anyone, anything from which that news is originating. And we can check for the authenticity of the source as well. And then we can look into propagation patterns. So how this news is being spread on the social media, what kind of people spread that news, and what are the user engagements for that news. Then what is the general user sentiment about that news, is it positive, negative, and those are all of the factors we can consider. Those are all the characteristics we can consider for detecting fake news. So let's just look at this table and try to understand various possible features we can look into, and we can use for our prediction model, and what are the different kind of models themselves you can build using this content. Let's just look into it. So as we all know, the features are based on content and models are based on context. So first, let's talk about news content based features. Fake news content follows some particular patterns. News content based features including things like vocabulary, phrase structure, writing style. We look for this like inflammatory language or misleading headlines, which are some characteristics for the fake news. And we can also use NLP and extract linguistic feature, which will help us to identify fake news patterns. Then there's secondary category we call social content based features. And social content based features include publisher's profile, because credibility of the publisher plays a huge role in this kind of classification. Considering the big publishing company or author from the any big publication house has a research agency backing them, and has a research agency which cross check the fact they're talking about or news they're talking about. So if the news is coming from the reputed publisher or reputed source, we can completely rely on that kind of news. Again, user's opinion, and the user's opinion about the particular piece of news, it always plays a great role, because the public sentiment or user sentiment regarding the whole news is quite negative, or we can say they have a unique opinion towards the whole news going on or whole rumor going on, then we can say it's tending towards the fake news category. Then the third factor which comes in is a propagation pattern, or friendship and diffusion networks in which the news is being spread. So suppose I posted something on Twitter, so the people who know me from last 2, 3, 5, 4 years, they might go and retweet it, and they might go and like it, or they might share it. So that is because these people know me and they trust me. So if the news I posted on any kind of social media, if it spreads via my first primary network, then that like I can't completely say that those kind of retweets or those kind of that kind of spread has been is like a positive public sentiment, or people are liking it and sort of thing. So I have to check if like the secondary or tertiary networks are also engaging with that news, and they are also trusting the source and news itself. So uh, this kind of this kind of tracking helps us to track the credibility and support the wider and track the support from the wider audience about the particular topic or news we are talking. So second stage comes in like after the feature extraction, we go to model construction, and in model construction again it involves two categories. One being the news context-based model, and the other being social media context-based model. In news context-based model, the most general and well-known way to do this is a fact checking. So fact checking creates basically a supervised model which is a binary classification. One also it will tell you if it's a fake news or not. And there are most effective models. The most effective models train on the basis of some data sets, and but again, when it comes to their usability, they lack some robustness, I will say, because they are based on some particular data sets, and those data sets are restricted to some particular timeline, and they are not being updated over the period. So these fact checking models, although they are easy to create and they are easy to deploy, or they are easy to maintain, they are not that much credible. And then there's a clickbait detection model, which again follows some patterns or patterns that are expected for a clickbait, like uh, maybe submit this form and you will get 10,000, or maybe this person is distributing 10,000 to everyone. So this kind of patterns, it follows some monetary reward, some communal content kind of patterns. uh, you can observe and you can classify them as a clickbait. So the pattern detection works for the clickbait detection. Then there comes the stance-based detection, which is one of the strategy we are using widely, and we will discuss about that in later slides. So after that, we come to social context-based models, which involves models to detect trolls and bots, and that is like easy going way, and tools and bot detection has been there from quite some time, and Twitter or Facebook is doing it well. So I will say, like, it's been there since some time, and it's easy to do at this point. Then there's a fake news propagation pattern, as we discussed earlier as well. So how the fake news is being propagated throughout the networks or throughout the network cycle, and that propagation pattern helps us to identify the credibility as well as sources for the news. So it's easy to check the authenticity for the same. So let's just go ahead and discuss stance-based fake news detection. Let's just look into stance detection first. So how we can use stance-based detection model to or stance detection for fake news detection. So you might have seen Twitter pop-ups for fact check recently, that if you try to tweet something and it comes under like very recent news spreading in, or some kind of fake news spreading in via Twitter. So it will show you that line in the bottom saying you should read this article before publishing, or you should check this fact right, sort of. So how that thing works? So I believe that thing mostly using stance based, like stance detection or similar article detection, which we are also seeing in it. So if we have one news or social media post and we want to see if it's a fake news or not, we will check what bunch of different media sources think that, like what bunch of different social media sources are, sorry, news media sources are thinking about that particular news or fact. But we can't accept the opinion from any random source, right? So we have to rank those sources according to their credibility, and we will use the stance according to their credibility. So maybe we can use weighted sum. And if many highly credible sources agree with the fact, then it must be true. If they don't, it must be fake. So this kind of pattern we can follow with this. Let's just go into a bit of a detail and understand the flow over here. So there's an ML classifier, like machine learning classifier. We can use anything. Right now, we are using neural network for this. So suppose we have any news coming in, we any tweet or any fact, we just feed that tweet to our classifier. And what our classifier will do is classifier will fetch bunch of articles from different media sources regarding which are discussing the same point or which are discussing the same topic, and see if those all articles agree with the fact or not. And if most of them, which are highly credible, agree with the fact, it will say it's not fake, or if they don't, it will say it's fake, sort of thing. So let's just see the flow and see, like, look into big details over here. So whenever I get some news article or fact from the social media, what first step I will do is I will extract keyword. I will extract those keywords and will do article search based on the keyword. So it can be either like archives or any databases or a plain web search, which will scrap all the articles regarding to those keywords. And like this both searches will give me bunch of articles as a output. And these articles are the ones which are talking about the same thing we want to fact check. And so now this article has some sources, and what I will do is I will arrange this article according to credibility of their sources, and I will assign some weights to them according to their credibility again. So now we will have a stance detection neural network which will detect stance for each of the article. Like if this one particular article agrees with the particular fact we are talking about or not. So for each of the article, there will be some particular stance, like either they agree, disagree, or just they are neutral about the topic, or they are discussing the topic as well. So after we got stances from all the articles, we can just do weighted sum according to their credibility, and for the results, and we can get the results and predict if it's a fake news or not. This is a plain flow. This is a basic flow we follow, and we will look into how this stance detection using NLP works. We will go into details of that going further. So now you guys might say, okay, so this looks easy. This looks like this should work most of the times and sounds fancy. But how we can see into every individual step, how we can execute every individual steps. So we will jump into some technical details around those. So if you're familiar with the NLP and machine learning and worked with this stuff earlier, you might know most of these things. But if you haven't worked with this stuff, don't worry. So we will uh, just pay attention to whatever coming into towards you, and we will discuss everything in details. So first important question over here is how we can say that two articles are similar. So as I'm saying that we are detecting stance. So as we are detecting stance over here, we have to say that these two articles are discussing the same topic, and this article agrees on this fact, or this article agrees on this topic we are discussing. So how we can in the same topic in the first of the same content in the first place. So for this, we are using NLP. And what NLP does is NLP uses words, topics, semantics, and context to detect if these two articles we are providing as input are discussing same topics or not. And uh, these are also characteristics which will help us to decide similarity. And NLP sorry for some glitch in between. There were some network issues, and I have to everything stopped, and I have to get it back. So let's just so we were at the point like we were splitting this whole procedure into two parts. So one is a feature extraction, and another one is stance detection. So in case of a feature extraction, so we will be talking about text pre-processing, topic modeling, and word representation. So these are some steps we have to do before going to stance detection. So let's just first jump into and talk about text pre-processing. So when we talk about text pre-processing, we have to split a process into two categories, namely cleaning and vectorization. So whenever I will get bunch of articles, the first thing I will do is clean them using steps like tokenization, stop words removal, lemmatization, POS, etc. So once I have a clean set of documents, I have to represent them numerically so the computer or model can understand it, and that is what we call vectorization. So, so in there are two simple steps: cleaning, vectorization. Involves like what you get, localization, stop words, or limitation, vocabulary, identifying keywords. You will get back, and you will just represent your clean text using some vectorization techniques, or vectorization techniques, and that is what we call vectorization itself. So first technique we are using for vectorization is a document term frequency mapping. Here columns with content words and so columns words and rows will be your documents. And this visualization will play important role in topic actions. The second one is a one-word vector. We present each word in the text with a vector where size of the each vector will be equal to size of vocabulary, and this will generate very large vector, and that's the main drawback over here. So the third one we might use is the word2vec, where we will represent each word with some lower dimensional value in a vector. And the last one is doc2vec, where we represent complete document using vector of real numbers. So after text pre-processing, let's see topic modeling, which is our second day. And it helps us to check if the two articles are talking about the same topic or not. So it basically refers to the process of dividing the corpus of documents into a list of the topics for the document corpus, and several set of documents on the corpus group of topics they cover. So topic modeling basically helps us to identify different types of topics our article is talking about, and so if finding similarity. And suppose two articles are talking about same topics, and we know those articles might be similar. We can't say that those are similar just based on the topics, but we can say that these articles might be similar. So we use the LDA latent leaflet allocation topic modeling, and it is a super unsupervised model for the bag of words approach. So LDA is based on some underlying assumptions like distribution hypothesis. That is, the similar topics make use of a similar word, and the statistical mixture hypothesis, which says that the document talks about several topics for which statistical distribution can be determined. The purpose of LDA is mapping each document in a corpus to a set of topics, which covers a good deal of words in the document. So what LDA does in order to map the document to a list of topics is assign topics to arrangement of words. Like we have an n-gram such as best player for topic to sports. And this sends all the arrangements of the words, and those arrangements determine the topic. So LDA ignores some syntactic and semantic information and treats documents as a bag of words, as I said earlier. And it also assumes that all the word documents can be assigned a probability of belonging to a topic. That said, the goals of the LDA is the main goal of the LDA over here is to determine the mixture of topics that a document contains. So if you can see the diagram, the collection of a document, we are giving it to unsupervised model, and it's giving us topics as a result. So it uses distribution, and it creates a document with all those topics with all those words in a random form according to topics or something. So it's you see that LDA mostly focuses on word, like it focuses on each individual word, and what it calculates the probability of what topic that word can belong, and adds it to that particular topic. If like many words are following that particular topic, it will say that this so there are like document topics in that known as alpha and beta, which also calls a concentration factor. And low value of alpha will assign to a topic, where high value of low value of a beta will use few words to one topic, high value will use more words. A third hypothesis by batch. So the output of the algorithm is a vector that contains the coverage of every topic for the document being modeled, and it will do something like it will look like uh, a vector which has a values like 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, maybe like that. And the first value shows the coverage of the first topic, and second value shows the coverage of the second topic, and so on. Topic that what is the transfer purpose of what is this topic. Let's jump to the step. So what in representation, it will help us to find meaning of text. So for representation, we present each word in article with a low dimensional vector. So the semantically similar words will have same word embeddings, sort of. And word embedding is one of the most popular document vocabulary. It is kind of capturing the word document. Maybe like syntactic similarity or relation with other words, and different kind of things. So, what are word embeddings? We are talking about those words. What are word embeddings in general? So, word embedding is a learned representation for text, where words that have the same meaning have similar representation. It is approach to keep to representing words in documents that may be considered. It is that may be considered one of the key breakthroughs of deep learning on challenging natural language processing problems. So if we are speaking like very vaguely, these are the vector representation of the any particular word. So for calculating similarity between words, we can use Euclidean distance in a vector space. And here, word2vec helps us to provide the context-based embeddings. So there are two versions of word2vec. Like one is continuous bag of words model, and another is one is skipgram model. So here you can see that to find the similarity between two different sentences or two different words or anything like that, we can find the cosine similarity, find the cosine distance between those vectors of those two sentences, and we can see if those two sentences are similar or not. Yes. So, like, let's just discuss context a bit, like, because context is also important, one of the important parameter to define similarity between two sentences or two words or two articles themselves. So suppose like these are kind of sentences we have the source text, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and suppose we replace the dog at the end of the sentence with puppy. So should that change the meaning of the whole thing, or it should not, right? So yeah, there are still the similar sentences because we call dog as puppy sometimes, or the small dog as puppy, but they are the same. So these are basically same sentences, and they should have similar. They should be similar when we try to calculate the similarity using any of the parameters or any of the measure for similarity. And this is where the context comes in. So we have to use the context to detect if these two sentences or if these two sentences are similar or not, if these two articles are similar or not sometimes. There are two versions of the word2vec model, as I said, continuous bag of words model and skipgram model. So we will talk about skipgram model over here. The skipgram algorithm in general consists of the four steps. First, we need to collect large corpus of text, and then we will initialize the embeddings randomly, like we will assign random vectors for each word itself. Then we will set up a prediction task, which is a supervised learning problem. The main task here is to learn the embeddings and then train a model to predict the target, and then update the embeddings and the model's parameters. So our word tag, it should match all similar words, and of any sentence, suppose repeated cat, it should be able to identify that it's a similar sentence. As I said in the earlier sentence, if I replace dog by puppy, it should be able to identify that sentence. And this is where skip-gram algorithm helps us. So if you want to learn more about embeddings and if you want to play around embeddings, I will suggest you to go to projector.tensorflow.org, which has great embedding projector where you can see visualizations for embedding similar to your QE you can see a bunch of different things, and you can play with bunch of different things for that. So now we have all the necessary information. We can go to how we can use machine learning models for translation, and there are like two different kind of feature vectors we are using. We are using one is like features from our claim and features from our and then we are using joint features as well. After so we combine these all features to create a single feature vector, and we feed this feature vector to deep neural network with many hidden layers. Activation function we are using over here is a value, and there's a softmax layer on top of our layer, which gives us the output where the claim and resource disagree on fact, or is our resource just discussing the fact, or they are completely unrelated. So the translate model is working over here. So I see that I have very less time remaining, so I will just go next things a bit fast and shift to our demo. So as you can see, this was our stance-based pipeline earlier, and now we know like how we can create a stance neural network detect stance itself. We can just plug our neural network into this pipeline, and the whole thing will be working, and the system will be ready to rock. So we have seen how we can use text to detect text. It's like how we can use various text-based picture to detect the stance, or we can use similarity to detect the stance, and multiple articles which are similar to what we are searching for can come together and aggregate with an aggregation. We can say that if the article or fact we are searching for is true or not. But this is only, as I said earlier as well, the single parameter cannot always be helpful to detect a fake news. So we have to look into multiple parameters, and here's when the social media aspect of the whole thing comes in. Here's when we are using the social media content and context-based models. Let's just go ahead and see how we can build models for detecting fake news on social media. There's a paper which goes by title CSI, a hybrid deep model for fake news detection, which is written by Wyszynski, CEO, and Leo, and it helps us to model social media engagement and user profile to detect fake news. When it comes to social media, we can classify people into some groups considering the content they are sharing or users they are following. If we want to talk about engagement of the users in particular article, we can use RNN for that. So let's consider Twitter as of now, and once a claim is published on Twitter, we will use users engagement to see propagation patterns and users opinion about the article over the time. So we can observe that pattern between true news and a fake news spreading, and it will be different for sure. And we can also observe user opinion about both the parties, and we can consider various parameters of the user itself, like name, age, demographic, number of followers, and their tweet content, or opinion about any tweet, or opinion about any particular topic. And we can merge this all into a one particular vector, which will be a article score for that particular thing, like the what we can call the temporal engagement of different users with that particular article, and it will give us a user vector which we can or for the or the propagation pattern vector, and which we can use that to give article a score, like we can create article score vector out of it. The second thing is identifying the profile characteristic or group of people who engage in sharing similar kinds of fake news content. We can create a network graph with the age representing number of articles both users engage with. and we will convert this graph to adjacency matrix because we need matrix representation for further courses. But this matrix is essentially big considering rows and columns both represent users or various factors related to user itself. So we have to use the dimensionality of each row in the matrix, and for that we will use technique like SVD. So which will help us to get the vector for each user, and to calculate the score for user, we will feed our user vector to a neural network, which will extract some high-level features from original user from a user engagement graph, and this neural network will return a vector which contains like user score for each particular user vector, and the vector size will be equal to number of users we have in total. So to calculate the article score, we will use the average sum of the user score, and we will have our article score generated. So now we have the article score from two different sources, or like the article score from like user's perspective, as well as article score from the propagation pattern. So we can combine this thing, like we can do a weighted sum, or we can do like integrate those scores and detect if the article is fake or not. So I know there was a lot of theory going on, and I am already like close to my closing time. So let's just go to a demo, and let's just recap. Let's just go to a demo and see what I have built right now, and how you guys can contribute to it. So some requirements for the demo. So you will need a Twilio account. You can I will share those slides. Like there's a QR code where you can get those slides at the end. You can sign up for the free Twilio account over here. You can click on this link. Twilio WhatsApp Sandbox, which you can configure one or this link. You need a basic Python class setup with ngrok. Ngrok will help us to tunnel your local host into like a Twilio web endpoint, and from where your WhatsApp, like whatever messages are coming in, will come to your local host and will be processed, and you can send a reply itself. So the code is available over here. You can go and clone this repo. You can play with it. You can change it, or you can contribute to it. So like I haven't implemented all these different models. There's some basic implementation over here, but we all can go and build on top of it. So let's see how our application looks. This is our test application based on WhatsApp. What I would do, like any messaging app application based fake news detection system. So if you have any news article you are worried about, or any fact you want to cross check, you can just send your fact or news articles link to this particular number, and you can get a result in back if that's a fake news or not. It's that easy, and that's user friendly. So you can send a news headline or facts to the sandbox and get predictions in real. So let's just jump to a live demo. Take out your mobile phones and open your WhatsApp. Scan this QR code. It will redirect you to the WhatsApp number, and send a message. Join hidden city. Join hidden city. So it will allow you to enter the sandbox. Now you can send any news headline or any link to the news article, and you will get a result in back, something like this. So this news headline corresponds is you entered true or false, and corresponding confidence level. So this was it from my side. Thank you guys for the time. Thanks for hosting me. Thank you, Maribeth, for helping me across multiple things. And thank you guys. If you have any questions regarding this, you can hit me up on Twitter at jayesh_highway1, or we can have a chat over there as well. So if you need slides from this, this slides are available in the first QR code, and the code is available in the QR code. You can get that out. So thank you and have a good day.